Hi there, Martin Cobbold from Dealey Environmental. You join me in my office in Suffolk, where I'm surrounded by geeky Burks and lots and lots and lots of bugs, and lots of grain, and a few microscopes which are too heavy to bring over and show you on the camera. I spend my days and my nights looking at the sort of insects that get stuck into grain as it's being stored over the year, and I spend my nights and days advising people on how's best to get rid of them or stop them from happening in the first place. First thing that I'd like to talk about is just a quick video on hotspots. Where do they come from? You see, not a lot of people will appreciate that inside a heap of grain there is quite a lot of air current going on. And if you have just a small difference between a warm part of the grain heap and a cold part of the grain heap, there's a mini convection current that goes on, and it starts sort of feeding the warmer area with cold air, and that can only lead to condensation, which then leads to mould growth, and you get this sort of cycle where an area gets hotter and hotter. And this is before even insects get involved. I mean, for them to get involved, you need to have some pretty tasty conditions for them. Most of them are tropical. So usually they're looking at ideal conditions of around about 25 degrees centigrade. So yeah, the big piece of information here is from the inside of a hotspot to just 1 meter away, you can get 10 degrees centigrade of temperature difference, which is then a fairly significant convection current, and it also makes it quite difficult to see if you haven't got the correct store monitoring strategy in place. So I've done a little video out on the road to try and talk you through the sort of things to look at in a grain store, and how I think that you can't ever really replace somebody getting out onto your heap to do the monitoring for you, temperature probe in hand, because you can't replace somebody mobile walking around the heap. A few people have tried, but we wait for the great technological breakthrough that will have our moving temperature probes. Do have a watch. I hope you find it entertaining and informative. And if you need any advice on your grain storage when it comes to reducing things like hotspots and reducing things like insects, then please feel free to contact us. So you've joined me here in 1,000 tons of rye between 4 stores. And as we've already seen, there's a chance of the temperature going up 10 degrees just in 1 meter. And this is a big problem that I have with automated ventilation systems, because there's no way you can get a probe every meter. It's just not cost effective. So as you can see from this store, it's a lovely new store, and they've got one for all of this. So you would only have to go, here's the probe, you would only have to go 1 meter away, and you've got 10 degrees up. So for me, there's really no replacement for boots on the ground, for getting people actually into the store, walking across the grain, making sure there's no hard spots, no smelly spots, no spots with the temperature probe that they can carry around and put in where they like, making sure there's no hot temperatures anywhere. And often with hot spots, they can come across the sort of architectural anomalies. And as you can see here, there's part of the grain store structure which actually goes underneath the grain, and often these areas are where the ventilation is most poor, and so you get the the big temperature differentials from one area of the grain where it can't be ventilated at all over to this area of the grain where it can be ventilated very well. And so the difference between the warm grain and the cool grain, you get a small convection current actually inside the bulk of the grain itself, and that leads to cool air meeting warm air, and condensation, of course, leading to more fungal growth, potential waking up of the seed through hygroscopy, which of course leads to more respiration, more metabolism going on inside the seed, more heat, fungus growing, more heat, and the hotspot gets worse and worse. It's an ever increasing cycle of cold air, hot air, condensation, cold air, hot air, condensation. And that's how you end up with a hotspot. Temperature probes 10 meters apart from each other. They're not going to cut it. You need someone on the